What's up to all my Pisces out there? Welcome to Pulse of the Cosmos. I am your astrologer, Emily, and today we are going to be taking a look at the astrology surrounding this full moon happening in your sign of Pisces. So this is going to be happening September 1st, 2nd of 2020, depending on where you are in the world. And for you guys, my Pisces, of course, this is going to be happening in your first house. And while the moon is in Pisces, your first house, it's of course going to be in opposition to the sun over there in Virgo, your 7th house. So when we're looking at your 7th house to do with the relationships that you're involved in, the partnerships you're involved in, the projects you're involved in, we're looking to bring a balance between these two aspects of the first house and your own individual identification and also the relationships that you're involved in. And making sure that there is a sense of even energy exchange there, and not only an even energy exchange between the two entities, but where you're stepping into relationships, partnerships, and projects that you feel a full identification with. And we do have as well, to bring romance into the equation, Venus for this full moon is going to be in opposition to Saturn. So Venus is in Cancer, which for you guys is your 5th house. This is your 5th house of love, of romance, of creativity, of self-expression, and in opposition to Saturn over there in Capricorn, your 11th house. You know, your 11th house deals with your hopes and your wishes, and it also deals with kind of your ideals in this life. And when we're looking at Venus in opposition to this over there in your house of love and romance and creativity, are the relationships that you're attracting into your life, do they match up to your hopes and your wishes and your ideals for what you want that to look like? And it's an issue of attraction, not pursuit. It's within the own energy of ourselves, right? Venus is a planet that kind of attracts things to her like a magnet. She's not in pursuit of the love and the beauty and the abundance. She creates it within herself to kind of magnetize that energy towards her. And if you find yourself going through blocks within relationships where you're connecting with people where maybe you don't have the same values, or you don't have the ideals, or you feel blocked, or you feel dissonance there with some of the relationships in your life, really open yourself up to looking at what your own frequency is projecting into this world, because almost all the time, if not always, it comes back to something that's going on within our own vibrations that we can adjust. We can make those small adjustments, those small shifts, those small changes that Virgo kind of requires of us. And with the North Node over there in Gemini, we are kind of bringing in these small kind of changes in our life to restructure them in such a way that they flow towards the future that has those hopes and wishes and ideals that we're trying to build upon here, right? And we do have Uranus and beautiful sextile with this full moon. The moon is going to be sextiling over to Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 3rd house. So this is your 3rd house of communication. So are you communicating what you want out of your relationships and into your relationships, if these are existing relationships within your environment? If you're feeling some kind of blockage there, this might be the time for you to step up and really communicate and kind of break through any barriers that have been keeping you from dipping into those conversations and kind of seeing what's stimulating to you there as well. We want to be in not kind of these relationships where we feel like the fire is out. Are they stimulating? Do they make sense for your reality? Do they make sense for the kind of reality that you're living in, for the kind of world that you're trying to create with the ideals and values that you have? These are all things that need to be taken into consideration, because we want to be able to step into those with our full identification, so that the relationship has the potential to give that growth factor to every party involved, where there's expansion along this evolutionary path. But in any case, let me see here. I am going to pull from the cards for you guys and see what's going on there, my Pisces. Full moon in your sign. Highly intuitive energy in the air. Your intuition is probably nudging you and pulling you and guiding you. And I know as a Pisces, you know how to kind of flow into that. So really, really be listening to those messages from your guides, from your inner self, from your transcendental soul. And also with the sun in trine to Uranus over there in Taurus, our intuition and our mental perceptions are heightened. So there's a great coming together of these two qualities where we can really be kind of tossed into these new directions that are more divine and more aligned, and create space where we can build that kind of abundance and that kind of security that we want. But in any case, let's see here. We pulled the 9 of Cups reversed coming up here. Then we pulled the Knight of Wands coming up here. And then we pulled the Hangman coming up next. So interesting. When we get the Nine of Cups reversed, there's definitely a sense of being emotionally unfulfilled, just not feeling that kind of emotional fulfillment, that kind of satisfaction in life. When we get it upright, we can see that there's kind of like 9 cups worth of fulfillment here. And this is fulfillment. See, this man is alone. This is kind of internal satiation, right? He's learned to kind of internally, emotionally nurture and kind of fulfill himself. When we get this turned over, that kind of nurturing and that fulfillment is gone. And this could be for some of my Pisceans out there in a sense that there was like a false fulfillment when things were upright, maybe where we were outsourcing these emotions and this happiness to another figure. And now maybe there's a change, or there's a disruption, or there's something going on with whatever this figure, person, situation was that has left you realizing that you're pretty emotionally unfulfilled right now. And maybe we need to fill our own cups. Maybe it's time for us to turn around and fill our own cups. And the challenge here in the Knight of Wands, this is the Knight of Wands. This is a night of action, of movement, of progression, of kind of charging forward into new adventures. So maybe some of my Pisceans out there are getting really stuck in maybe some pity feeling about being not emotionally fulfilled and stuck in the emotions of this, unable to pull themselves out onto this new adventure and move into these new spaces. This could be a relationships thing for some of my Pisces, where you're in a relationship where you're feeling emotionally unfulfilled. And it's either something we need to take the direction and take action on to remove ourselves from it if it's not resonant, or if this is a relationship that it's one that's very serious and it's one that's connected and it's one that's divine and maybe encountering some struggles. We've got Uranus over there in the 3rd house and sextile with this full moon. So it's about communication, bringing that communication up to the surface and communicating in your relationship so there's an open forum to kind of work to understand each other and develop that sense of compassion with where each other is at. And we did pull the Hanged Man coming up next here. So the Hanged Man always implies a sacrifice of some kind. And for a lot of my Pisceans out there, this might be a sacrifice of an old view of yourself, or an old way of living, or an old way of living that's just not resonant with what's inside of you, or an old relationship, or definitely just some sense of a sacrifice either within yourself or within your environment, where you're having to cut something off to open up space to kind of let you grow and kind of move yourself into some of these new, more positive directions. And with the Hanged Man, though, there's this sense of acceptance. You can see he almost looks at peace hanging here, and he has kind of this halo over his head. So I think this is a lot of my Pisces coming into a space of acceptance, coming into a space of acceptance in their life, where they're learning the things that they can let go of, and the things that they can shift, and the things that they can even just rearrange in their lives. And it doesn't have to be leave you in this space that's emotionally unfulfilled. It's pushing you and impelling you to grow into these new directions. It's just an accepting that things maybe didn't work out the way that you thought they would, or things aren't looking the way that you thought they would, or things aren't measuring up to your hopes, wishes, and ideals with Saturn over there in the 11th house. But there's an acceptance to move into the new direction and kind of let go of staying attached to these old emotions, or staying attached to this state where you're just feeling unhappy and emotionally unfulfilled and letting yourself get stuck there. But in any case, I love you guys so much, my Pisces. I hope you're doing well out there, and I will see you next time.